this is the video where we'll be drawing the head of Romulus with the helmet and everything. And I'm also slightly nervous about it too. And I'm sure you've noticed that there are more boxes in this grid. And unlike the other ones we did that were 4 by 4, 4 rows and 4 columns each, this is 6 columns and 6 rows. So in total there are 36 boxes. And I know it might look like it's going to be more complicated with more boxes, but it's actually going to make it a whole lot easier because there will be less guessing going on. And with a very detailed drawing like this, I think it would be helpful to the both of us to have more boxes in this grid to guide us. So instead of drawing them out with pencil, they look very even because I actually printed it out. I just have a standard printer paper size that I split evenly into 6 columns and 6 rows that I just printed out. And I'm going to number them all just to make it less confusing. I'm using my 2H so I can easily erase it later. So now I have numbered all of my boxes to make it, to prevent any kind of confusion. Alright, so when we look at the reference, it seems very overwhelming at first because there's a lot of detail and a lot of shading. But I'll split this into, I think 3 sections. The first one will just be the overall outline and with minimal detail. And then the second will be shading and slightly more detail, and then the third will be very fine details. That is what I'm thinking of doing, because if you just are drawing because you want to learn how to paint and so you're just learning how to sketch, you really don't need to draw out all of these little tiny details. All you need is the overall form and shadow. But I guess if you want to learn extra, it can be a little bonus. I guess we can start right here in the second box and just start very simple with the outline of the helmet. So we can see right here in the second box that the top of the helmet cuts off a little slice that starts, I would say right about the middle here, and then comes up to about a third of this box. So I'm just gonna go like this, and we can always change it later on if it is wrong or slightly off. Then we can see it come down into this box, number 8, right around, I think 2/3 of the way down. Maybe something like this. Maybe it's more curved. I'm gonna use my eraser, the kneadable one, and clean it up a bit. By the way, I'm still using my 2H because we are doing it very lightly at first. Sorry for the shaking. Okay, then the helmet comes up here into box 3. I think also about 1/3 of the way up this box. And then it's stagnant here, and then it slopes slightly down into the 5th box where it cuts a slice. Yes, like that. It cuts in next to this corner here, and then let me clean it up for a second. Just had it. Where'd it go? And then you can see it cuts a sliver, not a sliver, more, it comes, it reaches the middle of the 12th box here. I'm just feathering. I know some people don't like feathering, but it keeps it loose, I guess. Then I guess we can go down here in the 18th box. We see it takes up more than half, and like right around here, oops, right around here, and then it's just a straight line down. Goodness, that was a rough straight line. And then it will go down to this corner here of box 24 and take a little slice out of that one, like this. And then if we want to continue it, in box 29, it comes down to the middle right here, or just beyond the middle, I would say right here. It makes a diagonal curve. Like this. And then into box 28. You can see it's around the half mark that it comes here. And then down to the bottom box here at 34. It just makes this curve here like this. Not too sharp a curve, but I think it will come down to next to the middle of that box. So, okay. Oops. So we're not looking at any details of the helmet, just very, very loose lines that we see right here. going back to box 8, and remember it could always change. I'm going to make that curve here. And then in this box, barely a sliver of this part of the helmet comes out. Just a tiny triangle here next to the bottom. It might be slightly lower. Something like that would be good. And I guess we can extend it in box 9. We just see a little corner here being cut off. I think it comes up a bit more like this. Maybe a quarter of the way down from this box between 9 and 10. And then it slopes downwards to around here. Yeah, I think that should be I think I should make the curve a bit more flat. And then in box 11, it comes to nearly halfway. This would be half, so I'm going to guess there. I think this is good. I'm doing it all. I don't know if it's better if I speed this up or if I just do the whole thing in real time. I'm just gonna do this one in real time, or maybe slightly sped up. So this is box 17. Here's where it ends, this part. I guess I'm being kind of vague with my terms for the different parts of the helmet, but I hope you understand what I mean. The head of the back of the man's head comes up to right about here, the corner of, sorry, what am I saying? Next to the corner, at about a fourth of the way, or a little more than that. And I'm just gonna make a very small curve here. And I'm going to just connect this here. And I might have to change it later, and that's okay. I'm just guessing here. Now that I look at it, I think it's a bit further in, actually. But it's okay, because at this point, we're just making guesses and being very loose with it. think I'm gonna bring this curve slightly downwards. Here. Just make it come out about right here. So yeah. And then you can see a line come up. This line will actually help us. I'll figure out where things are a bit better. This is the bottom of the second layer of the top of the helmet and where the top of the head starts. So I see that it goes into this corner here of the 17th box. I mean, next, a little bit below the corner, but maybe this bottom line is slightly higher. I hope it's easy to understand what I'm talking about, but maybe I can show it better when I edit. And then it cuts through this box here, number 16, and it comes up to number 10, and then it takes a little hill out of it, something like that, a nice slope. And then number 9, we can connect it here with this line. I'm gonna make a little line right here next to the number 9. I'm gonna make it kind of parallel with this top line here. You know, I think this line here needs to come up a bit. And then this line will be parallel to it. I think it will be a bit higher. This should be good. Okay. My goodness. We see it coming together, I hope. Well, at least I hope I see it coming together. Then right here at box 23, we can extend the head downwards. It reaches, I think, around 2/3 of the way down, very roughly, right about here. I'm just gonna make this curve right here. we see it curve inwards, kind of like an S, like C, but it takes a sliver. I think that's a bit too much. Hold on. Just takes a very narrow sliver out of this box, number 22. I think this line needs to be a bit more narrow. Then we also see, one second, I think with box number 22, we see a slight cutoff here. And then when this one comes in, the back of the head, it goes a little bit higher up that curve than I originally did it. And then it kind of connects into this V shape here. And then this will go on to be the tail of the helmet. But you can kind of see that with doing more boxes in your grid, it's much more precise than if we were to only do 4 columns and 4 rows. We would have to do a lot more guessing, and for a beginner that would be very difficult. Well, even for me that would be very difficult and time consuming. And for painting, a lot of painters do very many grids. I mean, very many boxes in their grid. I'm sorry. It's like 1 in the morning for me. I don't know why I did it so late, but anyways. I'm moving on here to number 14, where the head is, the forehead, and the way that it slopes down. You can see it starts right below this corner, and then kind of like a quarter of the way in, maybe right here, or slightly further in than that. I'm just going to make a very simple line, and later we can add detail to it. And then the forehead comes out a bit more. So I'm just going to make a line like this. And then we can see the nose. The nose ends right in the middle of this box. And it takes a bit off of here. So, yeah. I'm gonna bring this line a little further in, because I see how much the nose takes. I'm just gonna put a little triangle for the nose, and it's right here. These proportions might change a bit later. So then the lips are about right here. This part is going to be a bit tricky. I think I'm going to bring the nose up slightly. And then the lips, I'm just going to place them I'm gonna see where the chin kind of starts, which is around here, next to the 20. And I'm just gonna make a little indent where I assume the lips will be. That probably might change, but this is not where we do the lips yet, so I'm just gonna put that right here. It looks a little weird right now. Then the chin comes down. And then it slopes back here like this. It's a bit messy. In box 26. Makes a bit of an angle. Not a sharp angle, relatively flat. And then the bottom of the chin makes a little curve here. I think I need to bring the chin up a bit. And then the jaw curves like this. I'm gonna say 2 right here. And then you can see a slight sliver of the neck come out here. And then the shoulder. The shoulder comes to here in the higher corner, so I'm actually gonna bring the shoulder like right here, and then I'm gonna change where the neck will be. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry if this part is tricky. It's tricky for me too. But we can always change it since this is just the beginning. Let me sharpen my pencil. Okay. So then the neck comes right here. I'm gonna put the chin right here. And then we can see this is the middle point, so slightly higher than that is where his shoulder comes out. And his shoulder comes out right here in the middle point, slightly higher. And then it gets cut off by the shield, which comes from this top part, I think like 1/3 of the box in, and then it goes all the way down to the corner. At least the shield was easy in that part. Well, it goes, the curve is a little bit away from this corner right here, because it takes a dip into this box very slightly, and then it curves down to right about the middle of box 33. Here's where it kind of just fades off, so I'm just gonna guess that it goes there. I'm keep going at different squares. I mean, different boxes. I'm not going like kind of like a printer. I feel like it helps me to, because I feel like if I were to make one mistake here, it would travel on to the next one, the next one, the next one, the next one. That's why I'm just kind of going at different random boxes. But maybe in the next one we can try it and go it like a printer. I'm not sure which way works better. But I'll go to box 15. And here we can see that where this line ends next to this corner, a new line starts and it kind of splits. It ends here, so it kind of diagonally splits this box. I'm gonna put this line here where the edge of the helmet is. Then there's this sharp little corner that comes in box number 9. I mean, sorry, 14. And then it comes down right about here, I would say, into box 15. And we see a sliver here, a little slice being cut off in the corner. And then it travels up here to a little before the midpoint of this box. So right here. Maybe slightly higher. Then I'm just extending this right here. And then as we can see, this line gets extended here into this box, so it should be a bit lower than I originally put it. And then right here, very high up, it makes this diagonal split and connects it with this line here. And then there will be another line that comes here that's parallel with this one, but maybe that's too much detail right now because there's another one here. I'll just include it, but it might change, so it'll be very light. And I'll include this one too. Wait, not there. More like here. Something like that. It's very rough, I know. think I made this line too diagonal. I'm gonna flatten it a bit. I'm gonna put the ear. I'm just gonna start it because I know it's right here in box 21 and then a little bit in 22. I'm just going to start the ear right around here. I think this little rectangle ends slightly earlier, slightly higher. Because I'm trying to figure out where the ear will go. The ear takes up a little less than half of this box, number 21. So I'm just going to put it here. I'm going to put a very loose ear of where I estimate that the ear will go. And then the ear is not down, it's diagonal. So it comes down, it comes to about the middle here. Like this. Actually, but that's a bit too diagonal. I'm gonna say here is where the ear will be. But again, it might change. So then I can see the shoulder here in the box below, number 27. The shoulder extends to here, but then the neck comes up to behind the ear, roughly in the middle of, slightly, yeah, just here. The neck will come. And then there's a shadow that will be casted here. Okay, let's do here. You can see under the ear, the end of the helmet will come. It will be like a little triangle sort of coming out. And it comes out to about a third of the way, so actually I did it too high. I mean too low, so I'm gonna bring it up here. And then there's a little curl, I think this is hair. I'm not gonna put the whole thing, but I just estimate that it will be right here. So I'm just gonna faintly draw it, because I think it will be like this. And then another curl, we'll extend that one later, but so then here we can see these two lines are going to connect to the end of the helmet, but they will be cut off by this line here that made up part of this V that we drew earlier, and it will come to this corner right here, and we'll just cut off it'll be a bit more of a curve like this, and we'll just cut off where the helmet ends right here. and then it will create this other line here that branches out and then goes up into there. And then following this V here that we made, it will go to the back of the head right here, and then probably to the edge here of box 23. Maybe like 1/4 in, or a little less than that. So I'm just going to draw a very rough line here. And then from this part of the helmet, sorry, I'm just checking this. Okay, then from this part of the helmet, we can just see that I think feathers that come out from it, or I don't know what it's called, I'm sorry, but they take up some space here.
Oh, I have to take these down. I guess we'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm gonna get some sleep. Are you doing anything special tomorrow?
No.
Okay, I might go see Danny. It's like 50/50, so at Studio C. But you're welcome to come by the way.
Okay, maybe.
Hmm?
What time are you going?
I'm not really sure. If I go, I'll probably in the afternoon or something.
Okay.
It's really nice. It's like this nice house. Sort of like that house, you know, the front of your mom's in Venice or whatever.
Oh yeah, I remember.
It's kind of like this cool place for her. I think the guy house sits for actually has a teenage daughter, believe it or not.
That's nice.
I think a couple years now. I don't know much about it. I haven't met her.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we can talk about it.
Okay. So here I'm just seeing where the other shoulder here is gonna go. I'm in box 28, and I think this is supposed to come down a bit, but I'm just gonna make a line right here that's slightly diagonal, because here's part of the armor. And then it comes down right here. It takes a sliver out of these two boxes, then also comes down right here like this. Okay, then the shoulder comes out like a little hill, like this. Comes up to, I'm gonna guess here. With details I have to be a bit more precise, but with these larger shapes I can kind of guess more. Okay, so and then in box 35 we can see a little line here. I think it's the contour of the shoulders. I'll just put the shadow here in box 27 for the neck, very lightly, just like that. Yeah, so now we have a very, very rough sketch of the man, of the head of Romulus. And some painters just leave it here. They don't draw anything beyond this, and they just get right to painting. So even if you can only sketch this much, it is okay. But I personally like to sketch more if I'm going to paint over this, just because it helps me decide the detail, where the detail will be much better. Maybe this can be like part 1, just the sketch,